Welcome back to Franchise Hockey Manager 11 with the Philadelphia Flyers. We start the 2033-34 season, and we are once again favorites. Second place is also Connor Bedard, and then Edmonton Oilers, which I think still have their two players, Connor McDavid at 36. Time is a wasting. He only has 1 year left. I mean, we could always go in for a trade for him. Draisaitl did extend. I think it looked like he did, but he's only 1 year, 6 million roughly, and not too bad for us. But we'll take a look back at everything, and we're once again being figured out on the goalie front. Jonah Tannhauser, he had kind of a little bit of a bad postseason, but his regular season numbers were very good. We just got exposed, and we got knocked out of the first round. 2 wins, 4 losses for him, but an .872 save percentage was pretty garbage. Nothing else jumping out at us for defenders or for forwards. We're not really considered into that race at all, but we will look at our schedule, though. I don't typically do this because I don't think it matters that much, but we managed to do pretty good in the preseason. Oh no, that's not us. We managed to do pretty good in the preseason. First time ever, we end up winning every single game. I didn't think that was even going to be possible, but we won every single game in it, and we'll look at some of the transactions that we managed to do throughout this offseason. We didn't trade that much. We only traded Carson and Torquay for a 3rd round and 4th round. Bjarson, I was initially just going to end up dropping it down to the AHL and see what ended up happening, but I think our AI ended up kind of taking a hold of it. We were just going to leave it, but yeah, it looks like these two decisions were done a couple days ago. But initially we did send them down, and then I guess our AI managed to do something about that. But no biggie. Anyways, we ended up signing some players. We ended up signing our Tanaka, or we got him last season, but we ended up sending him away. Elijah is the only person that we're not gonna say his last name. Nushwander. Yeah, I'm not going to try and say his name. I don't even know where he came from. It looked like he came from Minnesota Wild as a 7th round pick, but looks pretty solid for a backup. I mean, 913 save percentage last season. I am surprised they didn't sign him before. Schumacher we ended up sending on loan, and then Pinyemi we ended up signing as a free agent. I just liked his defensive rating, and he is left and right D, so not going to cost us that much. He didn't really play that crazy amount. Well, he did actually last season. He didn't play that much in the AHL, but he did play in the NHL. Grade was around a 73, so again, I was surprised to see him. We got him for $3.5 million roughly, and I mean, I don't really mind that one bit. Yeah, trades we didn't really do anything, and extensions we did extend Svensson, Mers, Ronberg, Tanaka, Demidov, and Jonah. Jonah for $3.5 million a season when he's going to be like a 5-star player seems like a very good bargain. Demidov we end up extending for around $8 million, Tanaka for a league minimum, and Ronberg for around $4 million. I don't think he played crazy last year. Yeah, so he's still kind of figuring it out, but I think Drysdale we might end up leaving. We did, is it going to show it? I don't think it shows us buying out, yeah, we end up buying out Tippett, so we end up having to pay $1.2 million. He just didn't really play for us that much. Like 31 games for $5 million, yeah, we can't really afford that. So that was one of the difficult decisions that we decided, but he's going to be a free agent. I'm assuming he retires. I don't think he ends up playing for another team, but we can always sign him if we really, really need someone, which I imagine it won't cost that much if it's towards the end of the season or cap doesn't really matter. But we'll look at some of the draftees that we end up grabbing. Nothing too wild or anything to really remember, but we'll do our top 3 picks that we end up doing. It's a little bit more difficult this draft, though. We end up getting Chris Ledoux. It says he was projected to be 8th. We got him for 28, but he didn't look like he really stood out that much. He looks somewhat decent, though, as a right winger center. I'm surprised he doesn't play left wing, considering he is a lefty. But I more so just looked at his 75 grade last season. I did briefly look at his scouting report and the fact that he was apparently going to be drafted pretty early on. But all this looked pretty good. I mean, it's all in the green or blue, so there's nothing really that I can pinpoint that I don't like. And then Scott Tateson, we ended up getting with our second round pick. He was also projected to be 10. So I found that odd. We ended up getting him for the Eklund trade that it looked like our AI ended up doing as well. But hitting looks decent. He is a 3.5 stars, what it's saying for consensus, but he didn't look too bad either. Same kind of thing, all in the green and some in the blue. So we're gonna kind of bank on that a little bit. Then we got to Maurice Hall, who's playing NCAA. I always am somewhat biased for NCAA players just because you get that extra couple years and you can sign him a little bit early. He was projected to go 86, but we grabbed him in the second round. He looked decent. His grade didn't really stand out or anything, but I just kind of took a chance, more so in the green. He is also from India and United States, so maybe we could have checked off a couple boxes there. And then Morozov we end up getting as well with the third rounder. His determination is what stood out. And then his scouting. I mean, obviously, the more you go, the worse it gets. But he is injury prone, it does look like. But hopefully we can manage to develop him, at least in terms of trade bait. I think we're now getting to the point where we're going to start trading a lot of our prospects for imminent success. And we're going to hopefully be able to capitalize on that. I mean, it's not rocket science at this point that we need to kind of shed some of the third and fourth liners that we end up having. If we can obviously get better and stronger players, then obviously we're going to go all in for it over the latter half of Michkov's career. He is starting to approach 30 though, so it's all downhill from there. But obviously, in order to focus our team around him, we definitely need to focus more on the older players as opposed to necessarily the younger players. Looking at our lineups though, we didn't want to do AI set up anything. So we'll do AI setup roles. He's still on the top line, but he's going to be stuck there forever. Martin looks like he should be one of those players that we could easily get rid of just because he's so good and we could probably get so much for him. Barkey's on the third line there, Carlson, and Misa on the bottom. Misa is going to be a free agent next season, so we might even look to get rid of him as well. Sider now on the bottom line, which is perfect. I think we were only paying like $4 million of his salary. Janssen, Drysdale on the right side, and then Smith, Yerix, and Piniemi, which I mean, I do like the bottom combination. That's for sure. And then Luchenko, Rybkin, and Michkov has been the best trio that we've had. Only really leading us to one championship, but I think we can manage to do pretty good things with the Jonah and Elijah there. So first game we end up playing here. We end up winning 4-3 in regulation, so that's a good sign. Martin scores the first one. Peniemi actually scores as well. Michkov scores his first, and Smith scores one as well. Piniemi only scored, I think, like maybe 3 goals last season and like 7 assists. I think his stat line was pretty terrible, so it's nice that he ends up getting the first one out of the way there. Teams that I think that it's going to be difficult for us to beat is definitely going to be Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh seems like they're going to be very tough with Bedard at the helm. I think Edmonton's going to kind of go all in this season as well. I don't know if they end up extending McDavid. He is 37, so you never really know. And I think Matthews might be retired too, or at least about to. And they're still kind of in rebuild, so they do have Matt Savoie, and I don't see anything. We'll go into their history because obviously he's going to be one of their top points getters. Mitch Marner looks like he's still with the team. Austin Matthews, he just retired, it looks like, or 2 seasons ago. He retired at 33. That is insane. I have never seen that. Retired at 33? Wow, I guess he just got so upset with losing in the first round. But Mitch Marner is obviously there for the paycheck. He is now captain at 36 is probably going to be one of his last seasons, though. He's still 3.5-star, and his contract's around 7 million, so obviously he's still collecting. He would come to us, so I find that interesting. We might end up having to look at that, but I find that still kind of wild. Our history, though, Spencer Knight's still top wins, and he was top 2 in terms of shootout leaders, but or shutout leaders. But I do think that we can probably beat that, and I'm really hoping that Michkov can at least end up beating the points or coming close to it. Michkov with 705, I think he should be able to. If he can manage to get a couple decent seasons, he's definitely going to do it. Tippett just a little bit, so he should be able to pass Tippett and be top 5 in franchise history. So not too bad. Luchenko also down here as well, 609. He should be able to do it as well. And not really seeing anything else. Who's really Demidov at 463? That's still pretty good. Drysdale at 510. So not bad at all. But I think Jonah should be able to do good things for us. 5-2 win here. We end up having Fyodorov end up scoring in the second, and then in the third it was all us, Rybkin, Michkov, and Stenberg with 2, knocking down the Chicago Blackhawks, who are 1-2 currently. And it does look like our division, at least last season, was very competitive. I'm hoping that it's not going to be the same thing this season. Columbus, surprisingly, at the top when they were struggling at the bottom, was New York Islanders and Pittsburgh. And currently, they're now occupying the bottom. So I find that kind of wild. Tampa's still at the top. Tampa is one of those teams that I end up saying weren't going to do anything, and then somehow they managed to prove me wrong and end up winning like a couple championships. So I find that kind of crazy. We beat the Leafs 6-2. Carlson with his first, Martin, and then Svensson before Janssen and Rybkin scoring in the second there. And then in the third, we end up giving up 2, but Terrence Smith ultimately scores the last goal, and we get the last laugh there. Terrence Smith with 2 goals, though. And we did extend him, I think, last season. Luchenko with 6 assists and Michkov with 6 points amongst 3 games. So that is a perfect start for us. I think Michkov is definitely focusing on top 5 in terms of points this season. Next season, for sure, he should be able to do great things there as well. But 3 games in, and we've maintained the winning streak that we've had even in the preseason there. So, I mean, if we can manage to get like 20, that'd be insane. But if we somehow end up continuing to win, we'll end up having to play until we lose. And 2-1 win there. Almost lost it. We end up winning in regulation, though. No goals in the third, but Svensson scores in the first, and Janssen scores in the second. And yeah, I'm going to ignore all the praises and stuff. We haven't adjusted anything amongst our team, though, so I don't like to make too many changes if I can help it. Obviously, if you're in a winning streak, for sure. Buffalo 4-0-2, though. And Panthers 4-2-0. Tampa now dropping down to 2-2-1, and Rangers 0-3-1. Like I said before, they haven't been able to do anything. So I'm surprised that they've never come up. We end up suffering our first loss in overtime, though. Shootout loss. Svensson, Barkey, and Stenberg, and again Stenberg, before ultimately losing in the. And Lucas Raymond. Lucas Raymond currently 31, though. Ends up being the guy who ends up losing it for us. Michkov ended up scoring, though, and Rybkin as well, but Demidov missed and Stenberg missed. I wish there was a stat to see how good they were for penalty shots, though. 4-0-1 amongst 5 games, which were doubling the next best team, or were doubling the next best team. Obviously, they had games at hand, though. But Columbus, after finishing towards the bottom, looked like they're making a push immediately. But obviously, we want to win as many games as we can at this point. It just makes sense. You don't want to end up having to win up games later. And Barkey looks like he's day-to-day. Probably his stamina is depleted at 80, of course, because, you know, facial things end up always affecting it. We bounce back with a 4-3 win. Obviously, we didn't have to change anything there because we were playing well. We only end up losing in overtime there. Yerix ends up scoring. Peniemi gets a second, and then Stenberg scores there as well. There should be one. Simon Carlson also scoring. I was like, I knew I missed one. Yeah, the only team that we ended up losing against was Red Wings, who are 3-3 or 3-4-0. So not necessarily the best, not the worst team to lose to either. But we have lost Michkov there. Does look like he's at least gone on a 2-game skid where he hasn't really registered a point. And it looks like Barkey should be back, but we do face against Buffalo, top team, and we end up losing 5-4 in regulation. So we'll make a little bit of a change for next game. Demidov gets his first. Luchenko gets his first goal. Ripken and Svensson before Dahlin ultimately screwing it for us. He's 73 grades so far. 33 years old, though. And, geez, he's going to play for a while. 1, 2, 3, 4. Geez, he's going to be at least 37 there. 38, maybe, by the time that his contract runs out. So that's going to be crazy. But 5-1-1 is not the worst start to our season. 6-4-0 is the next best. Hopefully Columbus ends up going on a cold skid there. Doesn't look like they are. Devils now jumping up with 9 games that they played. And yeah, it looks like there is going to be a minor adjustment, which I don't mind at all. Should probably start Elijah, though, at some point. Face off against Seattle here. We win 7-1. Wow. Smith scores. Svensson. Vitral ends up getting his first. Martin scores. Barkey, Smith, and Ripken all end up getting on the score sheet as well. So not bad. 8 games, 6-1-1. 13 points. We're still one game below Devils, but they dropped down once they hit 10 games and only at 10 points. So only a point per game. Columbus being the second place team. So nice bounce back for them. But I'm really hoping they end up losing the next couple of games, so it can at least give us a little bit of breathing room. I feel as though if we end up starting slow, it's going to be a rough season. But currently, Jonah at the top with wins total, and we do face Columbus here. This will be very interesting to see if we can manage to win 4-1 there, and we win away from home. That's also a good feeling. Carlson, Martin, and then Carlson again. They have Lafreniere. I forgot about that. Barkey ends up scoring in the third, though, but still don't see Michkov anywhere. And Lafreniere at 32 still has 4 seasons left at $7 million. I would only do that for half that. So if we ever make a trade for him, we will do it. Oh, they're still in rebuild, though. Balanced. Win now. So Islanders not really doing that great for win now. Win now also for Spezza and the Penguins. And rebuild still for the Rangers, and rebuild again for Washington. So most of the team's stuck on 10, but it still looks like it's more even than most of the divisions there. We'll probably play the last game here against Montreal before we end up jumping to the trade deadline, though. I don't know how busy we're going to be, because obviously 7-1-1 to start the season is much better than what we were last season. And now fixing our backup goaltending and being able to rely on our goalie for this season, who's a 4-star now. Yeah, 4-star here, and he looks pretty good. His rebound, recovery, and reflexes are all fantastic, and even his mental is definitely what stands out. Leadership, we don't really need him to be a leader, though. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't hear too often that when the goalie communicates, anyways. So, I mean, that does kind of help, but obviously I'm probably wrong in that. We do give up 8-3 there, though. Something to pay attention to. Against Montreal, Carlson scores, Ripken as well, but ultimately I'm seeing only red here. Martin ends up scoring there as well. So, of course, we're going to have to shift, but I'm assuming that someone is definitely injured, though. We'll face Carolina at the end, and, I mean, they're only 1 point down from us. We have an extra game in hand, but they're still only 1 point down, and that should be a little bit terrifying for sure. But we'll probably end up continuing this series for the next little bit. I might end up doing a jump of 3 seasons after this episode, possibly. Yerix, yeah, Yerix is day to day, so that kind of makes sense. Looks like he's going to get sidelined there. And I still want to start our backup, but it doesn't seem like we're having back-to-back games yet. We turn around and win 5-3. Ripken with his 6th, Fyodorov with his 2nd. Michkov scores finally his 3rd there. And then Barkey and Misa there scoring as well for a 5-3 win. After 11 games, though, we'll take a look at how well everyone's playing. 17 points for Luchenko, Martin with 16, Michkov with 15, and Barkey with 11. With those minutes, that's fantastic. Barkey now back to the Barkey of old. He had a terrible season last season, but definitely turning things around. 3.5-star player at 28. Ripken, not as much as you'd expect, but 9 points in 11 games. Fyodorov with 8, and then Svensson and Carlson with 7 as well. Same thing with Janssen. And Demidov not doing as great as what his contract would suggest. I could see us getting rid of him if we have to. We also have Jonah here, 8-2-1, and only an 899 save percentage. That is a little bit concerning. And obviously Elijah at 800 save percentage. That's not really his fault though. 661. He only ended up playing the one game. He got 10 saves and then 2 against. Whereas at least Jonah ends up having 306 and 31 goals, which doesn't seem as though it's that bad, but I'm sure it's much worse. 31 goals in 11 games is nothing really to write home about, but we're still going to have to rotate as much as possible. But in terms of league, though, currently we're first in our division, but looks like we're second in the league with one of our only losses being against the top team. 50 goals for them, and we have 48, and then our goals against are just a little bit more than theirs. So it seems kind of the same boat. Our home record is 4-2-0, and our away record is 4-0-1. We're 0-1 in shootouts and currently on a 1-game winning streak. Canadians are currently on a 6-game winning streak. Let's look for our division, though. 2-game winning streak for Columbus, though. So that has to end soon, and Hurricanes on a 2-game losing skid. Islanders 3-game winning skid. And Devils 2. Rangers down 2. And Pittsburgh down 2. So we'll jump to the trade deadline. We might end up making some changes. It all depends on how well our backup goalie is and based on contract. So let's jump to that point and see where we are there. We're nearing the trade deadline, and 64 games in, we have 44 wins, 17 losses, and 3 overtime losses, which means that we only really need 6 more to maintain our streak of 50 wins, which is always a good accomplishment. But also another interesting factor is that Jonah is first place with 34 wins and top 3 in terms of goals against average. Save percentage not quite there yet. But the fact that we're in first place in our division is fantastic. Michkov with 48 assists, so we'll take a look at that later, probably towards the end of the season, but he's at 71 and 64. I won't really look at how well everyone else is doing, just more so focus on how well we're doing in the league and else. Second place total, tied with Utah for the same amount of points, 262 goals for, 177 goals against. So not too bad. Difference of 85. So we're doing pretty decent goaltending. Home record is a little bit worse than you'd expect. 22-10-1 versus 22-7-2, which we definitely like that going into the playoffs here. Winning streak of 7 games though, and obviously we're going to be bound to lose at some point. But we'll take a look at players on the trade block. There is a lot. That there wasn't that many to begin with, but there's a decent amount now, and let's see how much we can actually afford before we even get too excited here. Monthly finances, we have around $7 million to play with this season, so we're really only looking at 1-year contracts and fitting that in there. Bill Zanin looks pretty decent, 65 grade. What do we really need, though? I'm going to quickly look at So it looks like we need a center and a lefty. So center and lefty is the areas that we would need to prioritize. Right D is Alex Palika, who's probably under a couple-year contract. I'm sure of it. 6 years left at 12 million. Let's actually see if they'd be willing to take half his salary. Because half the salary isn't that bad for a 28-year-old. I would even consider it. Let's look at our players. Let's just look at Milata. They'll never accept. I want to just see what it would take. I don't think we'd be able to offer them anything. Yeah, I don't think anything will really budge. So it's another thing. Yeah, we could give him a lot, but that's actually pretty interesting. We obviously wouldn't give up that. We'd have to give up more players. But he is 28, and that would definitely solve our defenseman problem. He is more of a right D than a lefty. Only 65 grade, though. I'd expect the 70s before I'd even consider that. But it would only cost us around 6 million, which, looking at cap obligations, we'd have to probably let go of Drysdale or even Sider, actually, because Sider we're getting out a discount. He isn't quite playing every game, though, so he is kind of rotating. So Sider's not even good enough really to start every game for us. So I guess we'll have to really focus that more so in the off season and adjust accordingly. But if we can get someone maybe a little bit better, I guess Villeneuve. I swear he just got traded, though. Villeneuve got traded for Jake Neighbors, so there's no way that they'd really want him gone again. He's played a handful of games, 11 games there, only 5 points, 65 grade though. But I find that super odd that they'd be willing to get rid of him that quick. He's only a 1-year contract. We could trade. Let's see what it would take. Alright, so they're at least budging early. I think we give up picks, to be honest. Let's give up a third. And it opens it up, so we can probably get it for third. We're going to get them to retain half, though. We're going to get them to retain half. We're going to give maybe a prospect here. Not necessarily a very good one. Let's give a little bit of an aging one. Ward maybe, or let's give up Larson. I don't think they'll accept it at this point, so we'll give up maybe another pick. We're blessed with a decent amount of picks this season. And let's see, we're going to offer this. So they just wanted to increase a bit, so I guess we can give them we'll give them a player, actually. Maybe something that's going to kind of age out for us. Kahoot, maybe. I do like Peniemi a little bit better, so Kahoot will give up. I think they probably accept this offer. Done. So we'll take on a much cheaper salary anyways with Villeneuve. 1.8, yeah. So $2 million a year still opens us up for another transaction. I do think getting them to retain is a huge plus. And Matvei Michkov, I don't think we need. Connor McMichael's not that good either. Heaney I've seen on there almost every single season. Cameron Schmidt still has potential at 27. 8 points. What kind of he's counterattacking. He's more defensive. He's playing around 12 minutes and has around 18 points. Maybe they're just not playing him that well. I'd rather a 4-star though. Zanin at 65. Let's see. They're not willing to budge, so let's take a look at possibly who he'd be replacing. Vitral probably. Let's look at our left wingers. I guess Carlson maybe, or Enza Berger. They will never accept it, obviously. And let's look at the draft picks. I'll give up Dallas's 4th. Does open up just a little bit. We'll give up a 5th next season. And then we'll try for rights as well. But it does look like we're going to have to kind of dig deep here. We'll give up Ward. And yeah, they're not going to budge. So I don't really want to give up anything substantial for that. So we'll take another look, see if there's anything else that kind of tickles our fancy there. We'll even look at actually free agents too. Sam Dickinson. You know what? How much is it going to cost? 3 years. Sam Dickinson is good. For 5, we can afford him this year, but maybe not next year. Let's negotiate. 3 years for. We'll give him 4. I do think we have to get rid of someone at that point. We'll give you 5 million over 3. He doesn't budget that much. We'll give you 100K more. And finally he signs. Okay, so we'll get him for that. Probably better than what we would be able to get anyways. Left, right D, I do like that. More of a left defenseman. And it does probably make our team just a little bit better. But it isn't to say that we can't probably afford something else. So we'll look at our monthlies, and we're currently just a little bit over. Oh no, so we'll have to look at who we might have to get rid of. And we're just going to kind of offload anyways, so Mort Sider looks like he's probably going to be the one that Peniemi actually doing pretty good. So Villeneuve we still have, Yerix we still have, he's playing 60 games. And I think Sider has to be the guy that goes. I do like Sider quite a bit. He's 68 grade though. Might want him for playoffs. Oh no, we'll actually be fine, never mind. What am I doing? People are going to have to be sent down. Yeah, so we clear the cap. We're good. Yeah, we're good for 1.6. Jesus, that scared me for 2 seconds there. All right, so what do our lines look like after a change like that? So Dickinson and Drysdale on the bottom line, Smith and Sider, and then Villeneuve and Janssen. So overall, pretty good. It does allow us to send down some players. Our forwards are pretty decent, so I don't think we really need to change anything other than maybe Misa. But I think we just had a game, so we'll have to change some things just before the Dallas game anyways. But we're going to look at who's available as well just before and see what changes that we end up doing. But the Dickinson one I actually don't mind. He's 27, can still do things for sure. So Dickinson and Stein. Okay, so it looks like Sider's gonna have to go next season. He is graded 68, but if he's not playing every single game, it doesn't really make sense to keep him. So we'll either trade him or buy him out, but we can probably find a trading partner for $4 million a year. And then maybe since we have Dickinson anyways, we should be fine. Yerix is also going to be on our bench. Peniemi as well. So it doesn't look like we have much forward flexibility at the moment, which isn't the end of the world. And we do win 7-6, which means that we don't have very good defense. Jesus. Misa with his 12th, Michkov with his 24th, and then Ripken and Janssen score before action-packed third. Janssen, Martin, and then we give up 3 before Carlson ends up scoring the winner at the end, which is insane. 7 goals, though. That's not good for the goals against average, that's for sure. But we do face off against Colorado. And I think our team's good enough for the postseason. I think the only person that I would possibly switch is Misa, but I think we should be fine. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I don't think we can afford anything else really either without giving up something. But I do think that if we do get knocked out in the first round, there are a big amount of changes that we're going to have to do. And we'll have to be somewhat aggressive with it as well. We face off against Colorado away from home 7-2. So scoring is not a concern at all. Stenberg goal, Janssen as well. And then in the second is Svensson Dickinson with 9. That's weird. So I don't know how he got cut. How did they release him midway through the season? Yeah, how do you do that? That's odd. I don't think you should be allowed. Yeah, I don't think you should be allowed to do that. But obviously, we just ended up picking him up anyway. So Janssen and Stenberg score, then Svensson, Dickinson, and Ripken and Smith, and then Michkov scores his 25th, which Michkov has actually scored over 300 goals in his career, which means that he's on the hunt to being at the top and the elite of the Philadelphia Flyers organization. So he could easily do it within 2 seasons, I believe. It all really just depends, but we'll look at the history here, and yeah, 300. I mean, 420 is very, very doable, and we'll take a look at least how well he's doing in terms of his career before the season's up. So yeah, he has 25 goals this season, which is he only had 26 last season. But if he ends up getting into like the 30 mark, he should be able to be pretty good towards the end of his career. Yeah, 315 so far, and I think the top one is around 100 more than that. So very doable, and he should be in the top 3 relatively soon, actually. 4-2 win now. Svensson ends up scoring Stenberg with 2, kind of sneakily. With 31 goals, and then Ripken with 32. Not bad at all. Stenberg on a 2-year deal. I mean, 31 goals is pretty good for $4 million. I will take that. We're 3 wins away here. We're still, again, top of the league. We could let it slip, though. It has happened before, but hopefully Elijah can hold it down for at least 1 game against Vegas. He did earlier than season, and he didn't do it that now. We end up reversing it. We end up losing at home, though, which isn't a good sign. Villeneuve and Stein end up scoring, but ultimately not good enough. Only 2 goals there. So a little bit of a struggle offensively. Almost clearing 100 points, though. And Columbus is in second, though. And I mean, it's anyone's pick on who's going to be, who we're going to end up facing. It does look like it could be in our division, though. And facing off against San Jose here, who are actually a threat. We do win 6-5 in OT, so everyone gets points. Drysdale with the 7th before Stenberg, Ripken, and Luchenko. And then Berkeley Catton, who we could have got in the offseason. I wonder how much he signed for. Yeah, he signed for 4.2. I don't think we're going to pay him that. And then in the third, yeah, Fyodorov ends up scoring, and then OT Demidov scores his 12th, which 12 is pretty low for Demidov. And Demidov might be one of those culprits that we end up having to let go just because of his offensive output. But it seems as though he might be more of a defensive player at this point. Because his grade is usually pretty decent, but overall not what you'd expect. Dominic Morant. So imagine if they kept Connor Bedard too. They end up extending his contract for $11 million though. And what draft pick did they get him with? They got him with mock draft was 97, and they picked him at 6. Jesus. That is pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. I don't think we can really top that. I think our goalie is the only thing we can really top that with. Misa ends up scoring, Michkov scores his 26th, and Janssen scores his 13th. We now face off against LA for our illustrious 50-win season. And I mean, if New York Rangers are right after that, it would be pretty funny back-to-back. So we'll end up facing against LA here. Let's see if we can manage to do it. We do manage to get it at home. In front of the home fans, that is always something you like to see. Martin with his 16th. Yarrick scores his 7th. And then Svenberg and Stenberg. that's a tongue twister there, end up scoring their 28th and 33rd respectively. And now we head to Vancouver, and probably going to go on the road for a little bit though, but I'll show you a little bit about Tannhauser and show you a little bit about his career and how he managed to get to us, and the fact that he is 5-star potential and currently I think almost 5-star rated, closer to 4-star though, but he is pretty good. I'd say the fact that he's managed to turn the season around from the postseason exit is pretty insane. 4.5 current ability, or 4, depending on the way that you look at it. But we actually, our pick was the reason why he got drafted, and that's why it was so confusing. So we ended up getting Surin, and then we traded away Poling, we got Surin and we gave away Poling, Berklin, and then a 3rd-round pick. And then they ended up drafting him with the 70th pick of the 3rd round, but then ultimately didn't end up signing him. And then he becomes a free agent, and then kind of bounces around there. We signed him for, it says contract renewal though. Where does it show that we signed him? We signed him for a 2-year deal for league minimum, basically. And now he's ours and doing pretty good. I mean, his first season was the season that he started, and he ended up having 42 wins. He started two seasons in the AHL, and I mean, the first season was a little bit rough, but the second season was 914, and he kind of maintained that throughout the rest of the seasons, and got 911 and then 913. 76 grade though is definitely something that stands out, and just all in all impressive. A 7-1 win against Vancouver. Vancouver aren't a terrible team, but we've managed to outscore them pretty significantly over the last 2 games. Janssen was his 16th, Carlson with his 15th, and then another Carlson with his 17th and 18th before Barkley scoring his 15th. Michkov gets a short-handed, and then Luchenko with his 24th. And we are hot. We are red hot here. 42 wins for Jonah. He is clearly at the top of the league. And as much as I want to rest him, I still kind of want him to play just a little bit more. Not enough to get injured and not enough to tank this, but we still have 10 games left. And I don't want him to necessarily get 50 wins. I don't want to prevent him from getting that. I don't think he's overworked either. But we definitely want to give him a shot at it. So we do lose that one. 4-1. We're not going to really worry about the stats there. But I'll look at how many games he's actually played, though. He's played 59. So he played 66 last season, which, I mean, could be too much for a goalie. We'll take a look at least Fowler here. Fowler plays 62 games, and he actually played 69 last season, which I would say is a bit too much. And then around 70 so far for Betts. So I think we're kind of trending in the right direction of still kind of rotating. I do like to rely on our backup. I'd say around under 70 games is definitely appropriate. We win that game though. Second game of doubleheader. We end up getting Ripken with his 34th shorthanded goal, and then Martin, and then Sider ends up getting his first. So at least he ends up scoring for us. But like I said, I don't think Sider's staying with us next season. I think there's too many options at much cheaper options that we can have, and especially with Dickinson. I imagine Dickinson will be a decent addition for us. Colorado currently at the bottom. I'm really hoping we don't end up screwing this up. Cole Sillinger with 1,000 games played is a pretty cool accolade as well. Facing off against Colorado here, we do win convincingly again, 7-1, so only letting in 1 goal. Stenberg, Ripken, and Piniemi. Carlson and Drysdale with 2 before Villeneuve with his 5th. And ultimately, that is all she wrote. With a 7-1 win and around 7 games remaining, I mean, Tannhauser could end up getting 50 wins, which would be insane. If he doesn't get the Vezina this season, I think I might rage quit the game. or at least get nominated. If he doesn't get nominated with at least 2 out of the 3 stats, I understand save percentage could be a decent factor, but the fact that he's done so well is insane. We do win 5-3 against our rivals, so 111 points here. Demidov with 13, Rybkin with 36, and then Stenberg, Carlson, and Michkov score. Bedard ends up extending with them, actually. He ends up extending for, 8 years, 14 million, and I mean, that's still pretty insane. The fact that he ends his career most likely on Pittsburgh is pretty insane. I would make a trade for him too, but like I said, we can't. That's not the focus of the save. If it wasn't face of the franchise, we probably would have done something for him. I probably would have given him at free agency at nothing, but can't really do that if you're focusing on a face of the franchise. Misa and Stenberg end up scoring, but we lose 4-2 there. Yeah, the whole concept of face of the franchise is obviously building around Michkov, which means that I can't get a better right winger than him. He should be the top one. Even if technically Demidov would be better, we would still be forced to ultimately start him at the top, or at least give him top 2 minutes, because it wouldn't make sense otherwise. But 111 points, I don't think we're mathematically cleared yet at finishing first again, but we all know the tragic end of what happened when we ended up finishing first last season, so I won't get my hopes up too much. Schumacher, 1.5. He does look like he could be pretty good for us. We could potentially start him next season. Oben looks like he's doing pretty good in the AHL. And Boyle is one of the guys that we end up signing, but again, it's more so just to focus on AHL. Tannhauser ends up increasing his mental toughness and positioning, but still 4.5 star. And Bobby McGlone finally finds a team in the BCHL. Thank God, because he was NCAA, and does look like his potential went down a decent amount. He was projected 5 stars before that debacle. Didn't know that NCAA teams could just turn players down like that, but it is what it is, I guess. Rivalry game here, and we end up losing 6-1. Wow. Rybkin with the only goal in the first, but ultimately that ends up ending there. Fractured ulna, so Dickinson now injured. Probably bringing a forward, yeah. So Martin's the spare guy there. That's disappointing. We now head to Carolina, though, after that. I mean, I don't think we're cleared yet, but we're pretty close to it. I think probably 2 wins of the next couple games does solidify us at the top, though. Could be wrong, but I believe that we should be pretty good there. And then Elijah's going to get the nod here. I mean, technically, we could have started the other guy, Tannhauser. He's at a 90 of a back-to-back game, so he could potentially have played. Villeneuve, Barkey, and Rybkin getting on the score sheet there. Michkov getting his 29th, and Rybkin getting his 39th, so you know who's scoring all the goals for us, for sure. Rybkin looking pretty good, though, as our center on the top line. We now head to New York, so 2 games on the road, but going on the road off of back-to-back is pretty weird. I think we had 1 game where it was in New Jersey, and then the next game was I think all the way in like Vancouver, and I'm like, that is a weird road kind of trajectory, and why would you play 2 games away from home? Oh no, it's Columbus actually. Columbus and Vancouver or LA, something very West Coasty. We end up losing that game, but Michkov scores his 30th, so we will take that. Looks like we could play Islanders, so it could be a premonition of what's to come. Devils are also fighting with them as well. So either Devils or Islanders could be one of the teams that we end up playing. We now head to Buffalo, who I'm pretty sure is doing well this season. They are they're 24th total. They were doing well last season. So 6-5 win here. Demidov and Svensson. Caden Lindstrom was the guy that I was looking at. 7 million. Yeah, we couldn't have done that. So 6.5 million a season. Yeah, we couldn't afford him. Svensson with the 29th, Luchenko with his 25th, Janssen scores, and then scores again before Rybkin getting his 40th. So I think that's the top for us. I think 40 is probably the most goals that we've scored this season, probably even this series, I think, because 40 is a decent amount. Not on the top yet, but I mean, he could easily do it if he ends up getting a hat trick next game, which, I mean, let's face it, that's not too much to ask for, right? So we face off against Boston, and we'll just let things go the way that they should here. Let's see if we can manage to beat them, though. And the last game of the season, we get a shutout. We score in the first, and then nothing happens after that. So Janssen scored the goal by assisted by Luchenko for his 52nd, and Misa with his 25th. And ultimately, Tannhauser ends up getting a win there. And I guess he manages to clinch the top. 46 wins is a very good season. I don't think anyone can take that away from him, but 6'7" and 250 pounds is pretty insane. 117 is good enough to give us the top spot. I don't think anyone can compete. We'll take a look at it now because I don't think it really matters for the last game for some of these teams. Kings finished bottom. They can't finish worse than that. Red Wings and Capitals are going to fight it out, but I think ultimately Red Wings doesn't really matter. They're finishing second. And I think Rangers are the only ones that can actually move up from that. And maybe Toronto, but Toronto bottom team as well. Total rebuild this season and rebuild next season is the play for them. We'll take a look at our team. Financial space, we have 6 million at the moment, but obviously we can't do anything with that unless we sign players. But we'll take a look. 82 games. Michkov leads the way actually with 86 points. So he managed to get his point per game in the clear here. Still not 100 points like what he did that one season, but he's 29 now, and getting into the twilight years, so it's kind of now or never at this point. 81 points for Rybkin, Luchenko with 77, Demidov with 64, so a decent drop off there, but 64 is still better than last season, and it's close to his 73 that he had before. Stenberg ends up getting 62, so roughly around the same as last year, and Svensson with 60. Janssen with 52, so a much better season than last season. Everything kind of just sticks out. He's kind of rounded out his game, scored more goals, so that's pretty good. Martin gets 53, a lot worse than what he did the season before, but he is a 4-star. He can improve, and I like what I see so far. Taking a look at goalies now, and 46 wins in 66 games is pretty good. Probably the best that any goalie that we've had has done. I don't think Knight has done close to that. And then Elijah ends up getting 11 wins and 5 losses and 1 OT loss with 919 save percentage, 267. So their goals against are ultimately pretty good. But we're going to look at the nominees here and see what ends up happening. It looks like we could play either Tampa or Islanders here. So we'll have to look at it. We'll look at it at the standings here. And it looks like it's going to be Tampa. I don't know how I feel about that. Tampa's 26, 13, and 2. Their away record is terrible, and our away record is pretty good. 27, 13, and 1, and then our away record is 39 and 2. So ultimately, we should be able to win the ones on the road. And based on the math, just basic math, we should be able to win the ones at home. But we'll wait for the awards here. If we don't get at least 2 nominations for something, or 3 I think 3 nominations is accurate. If we don't get 3 nominations, I'm going to be pretty pissed. So we don't get the Hart, which is fine. Vezina, we're not even nominated for. That is ridiculous. Dustin Wolf ends up getting it, 43 wins. Our save percentage was very identical. Goals against, I don't really care about. That is just ridiculous. Kuplan with 31. So we dropped down to 31 wins and 27 losses. How is that Vezina worthy? 66 games, which is the same. Yeah, his save percentage is better, but wins matter, no? Am I crazy to think that wins matter? 40 and 22. But ultimately, yeah, we should have at least gotten nominated for that. We get nominated for the Norris, but that who cares about the Norris? Calder, we don't have any rookies right now. That rubs me the wrong way. How do we get snubbed back-to-back years of the Vesna when our players like top? Yeah, he's still. What did he get? Save percentage was 912. That's still that's 0.08 from what they were nominated for, plus 46 wins. Fowler didn't even get nominated either, which I find wild. And it's not like we played like an exuberant amount more games, but that is ultimately disappointing. I feel as though the game should rethink that because yeah, there's no reason why the top wins goalkeeper or goaltender should not end up winning. So we'll look at the preview that it's set up for us here. We managed to face off against them 3 times. We lost 1, 2, and ultimately 3. So this is going to be a rough go for us. Brain Point's currently out though for 2 to 3 months. Thank God. He is 38 though. Hey, I guess Hagel or Hoggle is 35, and then Lucas Edmond, sorry, at 33 though. But Vasilevsky, 39. How's this guy still playing? How does his mental attributes actually lower? You'd think that as he gets older, these would shift all the way here, but his mentals are not at all top notch. And let's see if we can manage to do that. We don't really have any big injuries here, other than the one, but he could even be back. But that is still wild, though, that we haven't been able to beat them this season yet. So game 1 in Philly, and we managed to at least clear up any doubt there. Our first win against them this season. Drysdale with his first. Fyodorov, Luchenko, Barkey, and Michkov end up scoring 5-1, and not too bad. Montreal looks like they were on a skid, so they should probably end up losing it. They started out pretty hot, but ultimately I think they're out. I think San Jose probably ends up meeting us in the finals if we make it there. Game 2, 3-2 win. Regulation, that's also a good sign. Ribkin, Svensson, and Jansen ends up scoring, and we head to Tampa, and hopefully can manage to make this look easy, a lot easier than what it should. I'm happy to see Nashville actually doing well. We might pick them for a save soon. So game 3 goes to us as well. Barkey ends up scoring his second. Demidov, Misa, Luchenko, and then Ribkin end up scoring as well. Yeah, we might do a save with Nashville. I think they're pretty bad this season, so I might do a long-term save with them after. They are my favorite team, so I think it kind of only makes sense that we end up playing with them. Nashville's 2-1, but I think we have to look at their stats to kind of figure out what we would do. So game 4, see if we can get the sweep here. And we do 5-2, showing that we're pretty good away from home. Mers ends up scoring his first. Svensson scores his second. Michkov scores. Ribkin, and then Misa once again. And we're cruising through, and looks like we could face... Yeah, I don't know who we'll face, actually. New Jersey, probably. And New Jersey's actually a tough team. I think they were our demise one season. So they win 4-1. Against a higher seed too. So Columbus was second place, and they managed to make that look easy. Edmonton ends up winning as well, so their last hurrah. And we'll have to look at who's left. So series tied with Panthers, and then Boston ends up winning ultimately. So we're going to face off against New Jersey. We'll look at the preview once again. And we played against them 4 games this season. We lost the first one, lost the second one, won the third, and won the fourth. So at least we won the last 2. Heishier out for 1 to 2 weeks. Hughes 32, and then Beckman is also there as well. Yegorov is going to be their goalie. Yeah, they have a decent amount of injuries here. Ken Taylor out. Schultz. Howard. Howard looks like he's fine. Heishier 1 to 2 weeks, and then Vazmaski is out as well. But we'll look at the other teams here. And yeah, San Jose got knocked out actually. Vegas ends up knocking them out. Okay, so it's Edmonton or Utah, I feel. I would love to face off against Nashville because I'd be happy with whatever outcome it would be. But we'll face off against New Jersey here. And I think Islanders are probably going to beat Boston. I don't really rate Boston that crazy this season. I think Swayman's still with them, but hopefully we can manage to win game 1 here. So let's see if we can manage to do it at home. And we do 4-6. So 6-4 win. Michkov with his third. Carlson with his first and second, and then Drysdale scores before Luchenko and Ribkin score. So series up 1-0, and Utah up 1-0. Yeah, it should be Utah. I do like Cooley though, and it's crazy how Cale Makar is on their team. Some weird moves for sure. And see if anything really pops out at us. Clem with the NCAA here. Not too bad. Seems like we picked right here. Rushing defenseman. And we picked him with our second. That was a Benak one. And still looking like it's proving us right. I think he'll play with us next season. Stein now 3.5. More of an offensive defenseman. So we'll be good once Drysdale ends up probably leaving us or retiring us. And nothing quite jumping out. Komiyasu is now a 2-star. 2-star potential. I do like that. There is also another Japanese player that is going to be drafted with the, I believe, the second overall pick, most likely. So it'll be interesting to see that. Edmonton leads 1-0, and New York Islanders lead 1-0 as well. So I was right about them. Dylan Guenther is actually the captain. I have him on my fantasy team, and I do like Guenther as well. More clicks forming, of course. Panarin, I feel Panarin's won stuff. I know Gary Suter has as well, but it's more current. I'll end up having to pick him. Change things up here. Face second game at home here. And we lose 4-1. That is not good. Jack Hughes scores against us, and then Carlson's the only one to score for us. Jack Hughes just making it look easy, though. Tied series 1-1. Same thing with Boston, and same thing with Edmonton. But ultimately, that is not the path that we wanted to go. So we head on the road now. Hopefully, we can manage to beat them here. Let's see if we can get the lead. We lose 5-3. I thought we were a road team, but apparently we're not. Svensson scores 2, and then Murr scores 1. But we lose 5-3. Let's see if we can tie it up, and then kind of go on a streak of our own. Islanders are leading, and same thing with Vegas and Utah as well. We really got to figure this out. Game 4 here. We lose 6-3. This is disappointing. Back-to-back disappointing seasons. Misa, Eriks, and then Ribkin end up scoring, but ultimately 6-3 is rather a big destruction there. Utah also up 3-1. Series tied for Oilers there. And yeah, I'm not too happy about how we're playing. We might want to rethink some things. Michkov, perimeter shooter. Playmakers, Luchenko, perimeter shooter as well. Let's just go sniper. Go sniper there. And Stenberg, Svensson's a dangler. I don't think so. We'll put him as a counter-attacking forward. Looks like he's pretty suitable for that. Setup man for Demidov. I don't really think so. We'll do perimeter shooter for him as well. He could be a counter-attacking. And then playmaker. Yeah, playmaker seems fine. Carlson, yeah, playmaker. Fyodorov, no. We'll do speedy forward. He is pretty fast. Sam Martin should probably be a sniper. And we'll leave it at that. Let's see if we can manage to win this game here at home. An 8-2, so looks like the changes could have done something. Carlson scores, Svensson, Smith, and Janssen before Martin, Michkov, and Janssen and Carlson score. We do give up 1 in the third, but ultimately we end up winning that. Cut the series down to 3-2. We now head to New Jersey, and let's see if we can manage to tie this thing up. We managed to win 3-0. Demidov, Luchenko, and Michkov score. And I like where we're headed. Utah ends up knocking them out. And Vegas gets it tied. Islanders end up pushing through. So it looks like my prediction was right for that. See if my prediction is right for us. Let's see if we can win at home here. And we do 5-4, thank God. From 3-1 to 5-4, Drysdale, Michkov, Demidov, and Stenberg ends up scoring, and then Martin scores the game winner for us. Edmonton end up winning there as well, so nothing really surprising. But it's going to be New York, us, or Utah, and Utah and Edmonton. So 4 meetings this season. First one we lost, second one we lost, third one we lost, and fourth one we lost. This is not a good start. Dear God. So now it shows that Dixon's there. 1 to 2 weeks left. Jack Quinn's also hurt as well. New contusion day-to-day. LaBelle's out, and then Koivu, which I think was on our team at some point. He was not. So different player, but similar name. I guess we'll leave it at organization. And game 1, see if we can manage to at least win at home here. And we lose 4-2. Oh my God, we're going to get swept. I already know it. Edmonton leads. They're tied at, yeah, and then Demidov is going to miss some time, it looks like. No, yeah, he is. So game 2 here, let's see if we can manage to tie it up. We win 6-0, so somewhat convincing. 6 goal for Luchenko, Martin scores, Michkov scores, Mers scores, and then Stenberg and Ribkin. So I don't know why we don't show up, and then we all of a sudden show up in great fashion there. Edmonton up 2-0. And yeah, Demidov is still hurt, obviously. So see if we can manage to win in New York. We lose 2-1 in regulation. Michkov with his 8th. But ultimately, offense not able to get things rolling. Boumedienne is the guy that's going to haunt us for sure. All right, game 4, I believe, here. See if we can manage to win at least one of them on the road. We do. We tie up the series with a 4-1 win here. Mers ends up scoring his 5th. Stein scores his 1st. And then Michkov and Luchenko end up scoring as well. 3-1 lead for Edmonton. And could be an Edmonton final, that's for sure. Demidov close. But we're not going to adjust anything. We've won 2. We'll have to kind of leave it as is. See if we can manage to win at home. We lose 4-3. That is disappointing. Zagros is on their team, so Michkov scores, and then Stenberg and Janssen. But we're going to have to change things up. I think Demidov should be back. We'll have to change things up like what we did before. Edmonton now makes it to the finals. And Boumedienne, always on a team that does well. So it looks like Demidov should be back. We're going to put him as sniper again. Yeah, we'll put him as sniper for Michkov. Perimeter shooter, playmaker's fine. Svensson, perimeter shooter. Demidov. Yeah, we'll make Demidov the counterattacking in this one. Mers is a sniper for sure. Martin should be a sniper as well, but we'll leave it at that. See if we can manage to at least not humiliate ourselves and force game 7 again. And we do 6-2. Martin scores 2, Luchenko and Carlson, and then Janssen scores 2 goals, 1 shorthanded, 1 even strength. We force a game 7 at home. If we can't win here, we're not going to win anything. Sam Dixon should be fine for the finals there. And we're not going to change anything here. Game 7, can we do it? We win 8-1. So yes, we can. Martin ends up scoring 2. Stenberg then scores 2. Mers, Demidov, and then Luchenko and Svensson end up scoring. We now face off against Edmonton. I don't know how many games we played against them this season. Dixon should be back though, but we'll look at the season preview. We faced them twice. We beat them twice. That doesn't mean anything. And then Sam Dixon is day-to-day. So we're not going to adjust anything. We're going to leave it as is and kind of test it that way. We do get home ice advantage. And let's see if we can win game 1 at home. We do at least get that. Regulation as well. Yarrick scores. Rivkin, and then Stenberg. But as soon as Dixon's back, we might have to make an adjustment. So series lead 1-0, and he is back. It's what I like to see, and we'll make the adjustments just before the game if he's at 100%. Could change dynamics just a little bit, but Sam Dixon looking like he should be able to play for us. I don't know why the off-season, the AI should account for the fact that you don't need like you can have more than a maximum. You can probably have like 30 players, so should move up most of the players from the AHL as it is. So let's see if we can manage to get back-to-back wins here. And we don't. 4-1 loss here. So Dixon not quite helping us. Barkey is now hurt. Barkey and Luchenko are both hurt. Oh my god. That is disappointing. And our hopes go down in flames here. We now head to Edmonton, hoping to get things back on track here. And, I mean, ultimately disappointing. If we end up not winning this season here, Martin increasing his leadership, and then Stephen Wright looking pretty good in the OHL. Geez, 110. Is he at all related? He is not, but he's extremely popular. And we got him for a second round pick for Okulov. So those picks look like they're turning out. The Luchenko can at least play, it looks like. But we'll do another one just before, and we'll make our adjustments like what we did last season. I think I want to get I want to get the wins out of the way at the beginning. I don't want to have to force game 7s. And I'll show you the draft actually, because I find that the most interesting part. Okay, as much as I want to do carry price, I can't do it yet until I do process of elimination. Crosby obviously, Stamkos without question, Victor Hedman I have to do as well, and then Kucherov. Yeah, I can't even look at this side. As much as I want to do Doughty and Price, and obviously I want to do Burke and never do Tavares, I can't quite do that. So where is the player? Let's look at the evaluation. I guess it won't let us. Hubbard, it's not Hubbard. There is, yeah, this guy. Lucas Takala is 5-star potential, and he is part Finnish and part Japanese. I didn't even know that was like a normal pairing, but that's still pretty cool. And obviously we're not going to make Luchenko run or anything, but sniper for Michkov. Perimeter shooter's fine for Svensson. Or actually, where's... Oh, Luchenko's at the bottom. Okay, so Ripken is more of a guess perimeter shooter, I guess. And then we'll have to put on Svensson. Is he a perimeter shooter? Is he a setup man? Counterattacking, I'd say. So I don't really have a setup man for that line. Fyodorov. So Stenberg should probably play at the top then. Leave it at that. Martin is more of a sniper as well. Leave that there. Playmaker. That's fine. Mers is sniper power forward. Demidov, Misa. Okay, so that should be fine. Luchenko can play on the bottom line. I'll accept that. See if we can manage to win against Edmonton here. We win 4-3. That's what I like to see. Svensson gets his 7th. Villeneuve gets his 1st. Fyodorov with his 2nd. And then we give up a bunch of goals in the 3rd before Louis Carlson ends up scoring. I like that. 2-1 series lead. Can we manage to win both games in Edmonton? And Luchenko's still good at 80%, so 4th line seems like a good place for him right now. And we managed to lose game 4 here. We head back home, but ultimately not good enough. Carlson scores, Michkov scores his 11th, and then Michkov scores his 12th. But ultimately not good enough. We're going to have to re-look at things heading into Edmonton here. Luchenko at 80%, but looks like he should be primed to come back. Barkey also raring to come back as well. Game 5 here. And we managed to win 6-0. That's what I like to see. Carlson with his 5th, Michkov 13, Ripken 8, Drysdale 4, Janssen with his 7th, and Mers with his 7th as well. So we lead 3-2. I'm not going to change anything, even if Barkley is available. I think we have to push it if we can. We're in Edmonton here for Game 6. And we lose. Oh my god, overtime too. So Carlson scores, Martin scores, and Carlson scores again. 2 more goals, but Connor McDavid, oh my god, scores game winner against us. That is disappointing. We now head home for Game 7, and that is crazy. I know it said no stopping Carlson, but we still lost, so they definitely stopped us. Drysdale now hurt too. He's not going to play Game 7. Barkey's out Game 7. So we have a couple knocks here. In realistic fashion, they should have been able to play. Luchenko now leased up. We'll move him to sniper again. Demidov setup, man, that's fine. I think I want Martin here. Sniper seems more key. Setup man, sniper, perimeter shooter. Yep, that seems fine to me. We'll leave it as is. Game 7 here for all the marbles. Can we win it? And we do. We managed to get our 2nd trophy. There we go. Michkov with his 14th. Luchenko scores and Carlson scores before Mers puts the nail in the coffin there. And we end up winning. Fantastic. We win 4-3. It's our 2nd championship. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen. And that is insane. So we win our fourth total. 2nd for just us. We'll take a look at how well these players did in the postseason because I think they played amazing. Michkov, yeah, that's what I like to see. Michkov with 29 points in 25 games in the postseason. Fantastic. Luchenko with a point per game as well. But the 14 goals and 15, like, he turned it on to a next level. I knew as soon as I saw that his name was popping up, we were definitely going to win. Ripken with his 21st. Janssen with 19. And then Drysdale with 18 too. He couldn't play the last game, so that's kind of disappointing. Stenberg with 17. Martin with 16. So everyone, so many double digits. Almost everyone getting double digits other than Carlson, but good enough. And then Barkey, he was injured for a bit, but he only played 11 games for us. That might be something to focus on next season too. He only played 11 games in the postseason, so but 71 games in regulation. So it looks like Mers might actually be ready for the show for sure. 72 grade. He played 4 games for us this season, but only 60 grade. But playoff wise, he did pretty good. Mers still got 64, but ultimately looks a little bit better than that. And then Jonah gets his first. 16, 8, and 1, 921 save percentage. That is phenomenal. 258 goals against, and we managed to win this, so we don't have to completely overhaul for next season, but we still have to maintain it. I think we can do back-to-back competitive years, but hopefully you guys like this. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and hopefully there is more to come after this season. So it's been a long time coming after winning earlier in the series, but we now managed to win, and thank God for that. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time.